I know what it's like. I used to have trouble reading myself.
You?
Yeah. I didn't learn to read till I was 20.
I used to make up all sorts of excuses to get people to read documents and things for me. But on occasions, the situation was such that I just had to own up and ask for help.
What have you got in here, Carol? It weighs a ton.
Are you sure you're going to be all right while I'm away?
Yes. Now, don't start fussing. If there are any problems, I'll call you at your sister's. That's if the phone's back on.
Telecom promised mid-morning at the latest. And those machine parts are coming tomorrow, COD. Now, I've written the cheque. It's in the book.
Good. Any more delays and we could lose the contract.
Now, I think that's all. Now, Jim, are you sure you're going to be all...
Yes, I'm sure. Of course, if the Chamber of Commerce wants me to write a speech...
The Chamber of Commerce?
Just a joke, dear. You'd better get going. You're going to miss your train.
A lot of people in business, like Jim, who don't read or write well, get by because their husband or wife is around to help them. With me in this studio is Peter Dooley, who learned to read and write at the age of 30 and who went on to become a teacher of reading and writing to adults. Peter, I understand that at one time you wanted to start your own trucking business. What happened?
Well, I had got a job as a truck driver and felt that I could probably earn a lot more money and achieve a lot more of my ambitions by owning my own truck. The snag was that for me to buy my truck, I had to have my wife to help me to read first of all, the advertisements for the trucks themselves and all the registration papers, and I didn't quite really know at that stage what I did require. I just knew that whatever came up, I probably couldn't handle.
But even though you weren't able to set up your own business then, that obviously didn't stop you having other sorts of jobs.
Well, no. I think Woolworths is a good example of that. While working at Woolworths, I started Woolworths as an assistant in the fruit and veg section, and after 3 months, I was offered the opportunity to become to take up training as a manager of the supermarket. Well, when I was given the job, I started. You had to do 1 day per week in the office. And it was that day in the week, that day that was actually terrifying. Because you'd sit in the office and if the phone rang, well, if the phone conversation or the task could be solved orally, or okay. But invariably it was one of the managers of one of the sections or a salesman from, and there was always a note to take. You had to jot down a list of things or try and remember them, and I tried to remember them. And yeah, it's too hard. I gave it away, walked away.
And that was the turning point for you?
Yep. I said, right, that's it. I think I came home one day and I said, I'm going to go to tech and I'm going to learn to read. I went to Liverpool Technical College, evening college.
Excuse me, Mr. Postman. Here, I know you. You've been at the post office a long time. You my regular postie now.
Yep. Joe's the name.
Oh, that's lovely, Joe. I'm Grace. Of course, I know you're a postman, but do you know anything about the electricity?
How do you mean?
Well, my kettle won't work, and the radio won't come on either. I think it might be one of them fuses.
Are the lights working?
Oh, I don't know. Hope so.
Tell you what, I've just got to do the other side of the street. Why don't you try the lights and I'll come back in 10 minutes?
Oh, thanks, Joe. I really appreciate that. I'm dying for a cup of tea. Come in, Joe. Oh, it's no use. The lights are off too.
Well, it's not the fuses. I just checked the box outside. You sure you haven't forgotten to pay the bills?
Of course not. I always pay my bills.
Oh, must be a power cut then. They usually tell you, though.
I don't suppose it's got anything to do with this, has it? Came last week. It's got the electricity company's thing on it.
What's it say?
Don't know. Lost my glasses. You can read it though, can't you?
Well, I'll have a go. Might not be much help, though. I'm not real strong on reading.
Oh, aren't you, dear? No, it's not easy, is it? I tell you what, I think I've got some beer in the fridge. Why don't you sit down at the table? We can have a look at it together.
Right, we know it's from the electricity company, don't we? Can't read that bit. That word's Monday, and that's a date, see? March 21. Monday, March 21. Yeah, that's today. And these are two times, we reckon. 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. And that's between. I know that from getting my driving licence.
Better drink this before it gets flat. Give us your glass.
Thanks, Grace. Now, we know that word's electricity, and that word, I don't know, starts with inter, like intersection, you know, on the roads. And the next bit spells rup, interrupt, interrupt. Maybe it interrupts something. The electricity must be about the power cut.
But how long will it be off?
Well, I don't know for sure, but I think it says that the power will be off between 1 and 4. Probably tells you why, but no, I can't make out the rest.
You can read a good deal more than I can.
Well, I'm getting some help at work now. I'm really still just guessing. Probably wrong. Anyway, I think that's their phone number at the bottom there. Why don't you give them a call and ask them what's happening?
In the story, Grace was surprised by the power cut because she thought the electricity notice was junk mail. Peter, how do you sort out important mail from junk mail?
Well, it's disconcerting because sometimes the junk mail is made to look official. And I remember once having some junk mail, and I thought it was a very official and important piece of mail. And I took it to work. And I asked someone to tell me what's it about. And they told me. Garbage.
Most companies and organisations have a symbol or logo which is printed at the top of the page. If you recognise the logo, you probably know the name of the company or organisation that's writing to you. Knowing who the letter's from can often give you a clue as to what the letter's about.
The first thing that I would have recognised and interpreted would be the logo. And the name. I would recognise the name and the logo of the real estate. So I know straight away that the letter is from the real estate office. It's typed and it's signed. So it's a letter that I know is important because the person signed it and sent it to me. Then, looking through the letter, there's many words that I would have been able to read. We, to, you, that, due, the, on the. And as I sort of went through it, I'd come across the $200 per week. I know that's today's rent. And then further on, $220 per week. And you say it's got 200 to, and just skip the words in the middle, 220. And that's an increase. And I would know then that that is an increase. But to make certain and to, to get rid of the anxiety of not being absolutely certain, I would take it to work. And I'd just say, look, my rent's gone up, $20. Look. And I'd let the person read it. And if they didn't interrupt or, didn't contradict me, without them ever knowing that I couldn't read that, they'd just say, yeah, $20. Bad. So I just put the whole letter in context.
Got a lettergram here for Mrs. Patterson.
That's my wife. Oh, she's not here. She's at her sister's.
I'd better give it to you then.
Yeah, sure. Could you do me a favour? I've got some drops in my eyes and I can't see too well. Could you read it for me? Hello? Ah, so it's all back on again. And what about the extension in the factory? Great. Thanks very much. Phone's been off. That's probably why we got that. What does it say?
Well, I'm afraid I can't read it. Well, I know some of the words. I just can't make sense of it. Maybe you should get someone in the factory to read it for you.
No, I can't do that. You really can't read it?
No, I can't.
Sorry, mate. I didn't mean anything. I was just surprised, what with you being a postie.
I do my job.
So do I. But it's difficult with the wife away. She does all the reading and writing. I'm like you. I can't.
What, your eyes?
No, I was just saying that. I don't know how to. Of course, I try to keep it a secret round here.
Well, I'm getting some help now. But I can't work this one out. It's nothing much to give you a clue except for the words. I don't know a lot of them. It's from Bob somebody, and that's order. And there's supplies, and please, and sizes. They're words I know from the post office.
I bet it's about those parts we're waiting on. Now, I wonder where she ordered them from. Tell you what, don't some of your people down at the post office read lettergrams over the phone?
That's right, they do. If it's addressed to a phone number. But I'm sure it'd be no problem for them to read it to you.
That'd really help me out. Look, the number's on here.
No worries.
Joe and Jim were obviously uncomfortable when they had to admit to each other that they couldn't read the telegram. Peter, did you ever find yourself in an embarrassing situation like that?
Yes. I'll give you an example. Although generally I was very confident and happy. Driving a truck one day into a factory, I didn't read the word entrance around the back. I just couldn't read. I can't remember exactly what the sign was, but it was different from normal signs. So I went into the front to deliver. Hopped out of the truck, walked in, bold as brass, and the person behind the counter said, "Can't you read, mate? You've got to go round the back." And I felt like thumping him. I was very angry.
So how did you feel when you finally got to a class and you met other people who were in the same boat?
Secure. Good. The thing about the class was not so much the classmates, the other people in the class learning, it was the teacher.
What did they give you?
Well, she was very understanding and kind. And that was it. That's all I needed.
In the story, Joe could work out the electricity notice, but not the telegram. Can you explain why that was?
Ah, well, you can see, looking at both these documents, there are many sort of words that you can read from the one from the electricity. And there are dates and clear things, and there's plenty there that you could guess. You could make an inaccurate guess, but I think you'd be fairly close in most cases. But, of course, the telegram, well, there are just too few words there that you could read. You just couldn't guess what they were saying. That's mainly it. There's just nothing there to make your guesses from. And guess is half the clue, isn't it?
Hello.
Oh, hello. It's Peter Constantis from the post office here. Is that Mr. Patterson? I've got a lettergram here for Mrs. Patterson. It reads, "Re your order of machine parts. Please confirm chuck sizes. Will dispatch immediately. Waratah Industrial Supplies." It's signed Bob Harrington. Phone number 212471.
Great.
Bye for now.
If you would like more help with your reading and writing, please telephone 008 021 184 for further information. Calls to this number are free. There are 7 other videos in this series. Each video shows some useful ideas which might help you with your reading and writing. You can borrow them from your local video shop. Ask for Between the Lines. If you'd like more help with your reading and writing, or if you'd like a copy of the book which goes with the videos, please telephone 008 021 184. Calls to this number are free.
See, it's up there in black and white.
May as well be in pink and blue, you know, bloody can't read it.
Have a good one. Yes, thank you.
I really hated getting the crims to read my personal letters to me all the time, and I decided it was time I did something for myself.
And the food's all right at this one, Bobby?
Oh, yeah, Gran. Well, I can't complain, can I?
The people at the gate were very nice. What about the other prisoners? They've got some bad ones in here, haven't they?
Oh, we don't talk about it, Gran. Everyone's just doing their time.
You were such a good boy when you lived with me. You never gave your old Gran any trouble.
Let's talk about something else, can we? At least I don't have to worry about getting a job anymore.
Oh, it's just a waste, that's all. I thought you'd...
Anyway, Gran, how are things at home?
Oh, you know. But we've got a new postman. His name's Joe, and he's teaching me a bit of reading and writing. He's not very good at it himself, but he's learning, and what he learns, he shows me.
Yeah? Oh, we got some classes in here too, but I don't know. You know how I've always hated schools.
Time's up, Sims.
I've got to go now, Gran. Thanks for coming.
Don't be silly, who else have you got? And it's your birthday too. I just wish they hadn't moved you so far away. Now, you be sure to get your parcel. It's only a bit of cake and a few cigarettes and a card. I wrote it myself.
Yeah? You really wrote it yourself? Thanks, Gran. And take care.
I'll come back when I can. Bye, Bobby.
With me in the studio is Bob Craig, who's been both a student and a teacher within the prison system. Bob, what made you first decide to learn to read and write?
Well, I'd attained 30 years of age. I was in jail, and one morning I looked up and seen an old person in the mirror and realised just the state I was in. I could do all sorts of things, but I couldn't read and write, and that was the main obstacle for going any further.
How hard was it for you to take that first step?
I thought it was impossible at the beginning, but I just bit off more than I could chew and started chewing.
And up till the age of 30, how had you managed if you couldn't read and write?
You learn a number of tricks so that people don't find out that you are illiterate, because anybody who's illiterate is automatically dumb or something wrong with them mentally. And you copy and ask people questions or tell people things you think you know in order to get the reaction, all sorts of things.
How was your experience as a prisoner when you couldn't read and write?
Well, I remember holding my court papers directly after court, and I knew, here's my destiny right in my hand. And I don't know what it says, I don't know what it means. I've been told in court what's going to happen to me, but with all the court jargon I didn't understand. And now I could just open up a paper and get all the information, it's right here, and I didn't know how to do it.
In the story, Grace copied words from old birthday cards when she was writing to Bobby. Do you think that could be a useful way of doing things?
Oh yes, in prison you could use that quite easily. With request forms, there's so much need for requests for everything. If you just find somebody who's got a good request form, keep a copy in your cell, and just keep changing the words that are relevant for the situation.
What difference has learning to read and write made to your life?
Oh, it's opened so many doors. It's made my life so much richer. There's so much more to enjoy. Not just reading a book, but understanding all the things that you learn getting an education that fill out your life. Even reading wine labels.
Dear Bobby. Bobby?
Yeah, short for Robert. Why didn't they teach you that? Well, go on then.
Hop, you are well. What's that mean?
Just read it, will you?
Oh, all right. I swear, 2 out with you is like living with a brown snake sometimes. I'm sorry. I can't visit. I can come match. No, hang on. March. I can come March 21. What's the love? Grand. Nice. Writing's a bit rough, though.
Just one more word.
And of course attending English classes is a good thing to have on your application for parole.
Yeah, I figured that too.
The classes are in D Wing on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 1:30, so I'll put your name down.
Oh, yeah. Suppose I could give it a go. Might help pass the time anyway.
Bob, it's been said that the hardest part of learning to read is actually getting started. Have you found that?
Oh, yeah. The hard part is the fact that you have to admit that you can't read and write, and you become vulnerable. And for a crim, you've got to go to your wing officer or the education officer and say, I'm in trouble, like, I need help. But it's worth it. It's worth it because once you follow through, the fruits are there.
What are the most common problems for prisoners who can't read and write?
Trying to find out what's going on, what their destiny actually is, what happened in court, what is happening in the jail system, the legal aspects, just because they're all written. If you can't read, you're in the dark.
What about personal writing, like a diary, as a way of beginning to write?
That's a brilliant way to learn, because you have a chance to write things that nobody gets to see. And even if you screw it up when you finish and throw it in the bin in case somebody ever gets a chance to read it, the chance to get your thoughts on paper actually make you feel good. I used to do it in the beginning. I started writing a journal and also started writing poetry. Lots of crims write poetry. I brought something with me and I learned how to running write by writing poetry. I'd have the letters of the alphabet. I could understand capital letters only. So I'd have all the capital letters and have all the running writing equivalents underneath. So I'd write my poetry out and I'd rewrite it in running writing, thinking I was really clever.
But that was just for you, no one else saw it?
No, I've brought this out a few times since I've been out of jail, but when I was in jail, nobody saw this. This was mine. And I'd be very defensive with it. Like, get pretty aggressive if somebody wanted to see it.
But it really helped with your reading and writing?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Ah, stop it. Oh, it depends on what it is. Eh? Oh, yeah. Well, mate, it's this letter, that's what it is. I don't know how to start. Oh, who are you writing to? Parole board. Yeah, it's difficult. We talked about that the other day. You're going to go on about your class again. Listen, I know how to read and write. Yeah, but there's more to it than that, isn't there? Otherwise you'd have it in the envelope by now. Rightio, I'm listening. Oh, first off, you don't just sit down and try to write, you know, in one go. That'll get you all mixed up. You got to make some notes. What? 10s and 20s, then I'll get another 5 years. Smart ass. No, you got to make some notes about the things you want to say. Then you see which one goes first, and the next, till you got them all down like a letter, only rough. Yeah? All right. Well, I know what I want to say. So when you've got a page of notes, how do you make it into a letter? Oh, you go to the next class and find out.
Okay, guys, today we're going to look at writing a letter in particular. And first thing is we've got to plan it. We've got to think about what we're going to say. So if you want to just write what comes off the top of your head, and then we'll look at what you say.
Bob, prisoners would obviously feel the need to keep in touch with the outside world, but how important is reading and writing within the prison system itself?
Well, you have a lot of trouble communicating with the outside world if you can't write, obviously. If you have a need to air a grievance, which is probably about the most common thing in jail, your line of communication is with the ombudsman, your main line of communication. And if you can't read and write, you can't air your grievance or have anything done about it. You just got to put up with it if you can't read and write, and that's pretty important.
And all that has to be done in writing, does it?
Oh, yes. You can't just pick up the phone and ring up the ombudsman. You must write.
Can you describe the steps you'd go through in writing a formal letter?
Sure. People think just because that you have an education that you just knock out a letter. Well, I've got an education and I can't knock out a letter. I have to put down what I want to talk about, and I put out in point form all the things that I want in the letter, and then I go to my main letter and I just blow it out what I want to say. And then when I'm finished, sometimes I'm still not happy with the end product, and I'll scrub bits out or add bits until I finally am happy with the piece I want to write. So it's not a magic trick for educated people.
In the story, Robert goes to English classes because he's decided that learning to read and write is important to him. But he hasn't found it easy, especially the writing. When he first began, his teacher told him not to worry about his spelling. It's the message that's important. Spelling comes later.
Spelling's everywhere. You see it on billboards, you see it everywhere. If you have a go at it, 9 times out of 10 you get it right. And a lot of times you'll see, no, that's not how you spell that. You instinctively know. But until you have a go at it and throw yourself into it, that's the biggest block I know of. I can't write a letter, I can't spell. That's not a reason at all. It's just a good way not to do it.
Joe, have you got something for me?
Got a big one for you, Grace. Couldn't get it in the mailbox.
What is it?
I know. Government envelope, though. Might be from young Bobby.
Robert doesn't call himself Bobby anymore. Gets real stroppy when other people do. Of course, he doesn't mind if I call him Bobby. Always have, always will. It looks like a newspaper. There's something else in there. Oh, here, hold this for me, will you, Joe? It is from him. I know his writing.
He's got something in here, too. See? A bit with the highlighter stuff on it.
Oh, what's it say? What's it say?
Home by Robert Sims. Looks like a little poem.
A poem? Oh, well, I never. He's only been writing a year. Oh, I have to get the glasses. Thanks, Joe. Bye.
See ya.
If you would like more help with your reading and writing, please telephone 008 021 184 for further information. Calls to this number are free. There are 7 other videos in this series. Each video shows some useful ideas which might help you with your reading and writing. You can borrow them from your local video shop. Ask for Between the Lines. If you'd like more help with your reading and writing, or if you'd like a copy of the book which goes with the videos, please telephone 008 021 184. Calls to this number are free.